So we have creators in Wimpy. We think we can find a better fit for our team, like in the direction we want to go. So we went another way, and with Blaz and Gunnar coming in, we had a really solid in-3 duo, probably one of the best in the league. And then Gunnar decides to leave after stage 2 for Sonics, so we kind of have to go through a rebuild.
Asian and Doc really bring more frag power, and they're more vocal than people are led on to believe, really. Obviously, we lost Penguin, which is a very impactful voice.
Hi, I'm Asian. I play entry for Parabellum Esports. So me replacing Penguin it's pretty big shoes to fill because he was their in-game leader. So I'm gonna have to be a lot more talkative, try to communicate a lot more.
Hi, I'm Blaise. I play entry for Parabellum Esports. Yeah, of course we have 2 new players, so we have to learn to play together.
Hi, my name's Doc. I play Flex for Parabellum. My goal previously was to make it to the NAL, but now it's probably to just play good as a team and hope to make a major, and if not, just do really good, like 5th, 6th place.
So we kind of had 2 different scouting processes, one for Doc, one for Asian, because the timeline was slightly different. We first went into wanting to get a sledge player, get Eska onto a more frag-oriented role to enable him, and then have someone who's more consistent on the sledge. And Doc played that perfectly, and he's also vocal. About a week or 2 after we picked up Doc, right, we made the decision that we wanted to try to explore more options for Pang. So we wanted someone who can call their own plays, who makes the plays, who coordinates their plays with the team, and Asian really did that, and he's really vocal.
I'm excited to show what people have been hyping me up for. I know that if I have like a mediocre bad game, like I do decent, people will call me overrated, and one thing I'm gonna have to get used to is getting used to the hate and not letting it get to my mental. Just try to be myself and don't let people get to me. So I do think it's a lot of pressure though.
Well, the pressure sure didn't seem to affect Asian yesterday, as Parabellum did extremely well in their first series of Stage 3 against Oxygen, getting the 7-4 victory over them. But now they got to play against XSET. And sure, XSET dismantled Beast Coast yesterday 7-2. Beast Coast obviously not a big threat right now in the league. It's still a scary team. They just came off a semifinals appearance at the Major. Parabellum, I think this is going to be their real test in Stage 3.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a much harder game for Parabellum, but I don't think that their first opponents were slouches either. I think they did a really good job playing against Oxygen. For XSET, for them, this kind of feels like their first real test as well. Take a look at their last game where they ended up playing against Beast Coast, not a team that is really at their full potential right now. So for both these teams, definitely going to be a harder challenge than I think what they faced yesterday. They are currently tied in the standings. They both have 1 win and 0 losses behind them. You can see they've got an even head-to-head record as well, with Parabellum winning back in Stage 2, but XSET taking the dub back in Stage number 1.
Yeah, bear in mind that for Parabellum, it was both a case of an upset and of trying to find a way to merge 2 new players directly into the mix. I think the term I kept hearing, yeah, it was, like the thing Reddit said, it was 3-headed monster about Blaz, Asian, and Doc. And I kind of can't unsee that, because it's a very, very rare case when you're able to get a new entry to actually go forth and do what they need to do, especially if it's not the primary thing they were doing before. That's the responsibility that Blaz needed to assume when this whole thing started. And then working directly in tandem with Asian at the exact same time, it felt like that could have been too much, but you're really relying on the fragging power of New Blood, which is most of the reason you bring them up from CL in the first place, is to frag, and they did just that yesterday.
And I want to point out real quick with tail of tape, 10th and 9th on attacking rank and defending rank. That is it's something else. That's not correct. They've done very well, both on attack and defense, over 60% on both of those stats. So nothing to worry about there. This is going to be a very even matchup if the stats from yesterday are to be believed.
I think that's our East Coast stat from the last.
It might have been. It might have been.
They had 10th and 9th. Yeah, I think that ended up in there. Well, looking at this one though, I mean, the big question is, is Parabellum going to be able to continue the momentum from yesterday into today? It's going to be very difficult against a team like XSET. This is also our first match of Stage 3 where we've got a winner playing a winner, right? Obviously, it's only 2. We have 2 teams at 1-0. Somebody's got to take the L today. And it's going to be kind of surprising either one. I feel like it's easy to bet on XSET because of their recent performances and all that. They are coming in as a more experienced squad, both because they played in the Major, both because they did well, they didn't make any roster changes. But Parabellum is so new and exciting and such a different look Parabellum than what we saw earlier in the year that I think they're a major threat.
Yeah, and I think it's like really telling that they were able to take a game against Oxygen that started off a little rocky. They were down kind of early in that game. They called a tack timeout and really stepped it up after that. I thought that Asian had a really great game. I thought Blaz had a really great game. So I'm really hoping that we can see some more of that. Asian in particular, I think had the best performance of any rookie on Playday 1. He was tied for highest EPS with Gasher. I think he was a little bit more impactful. Both players played great, but I think Asian really did step it up, especially in that second half when they moved on to attack. He was able to get a lot of those kind of late kills. He had a good clutch in there for Parabellum, and I really did appreciate his play for this squad. I think he's a player that, you know, people have mixed opinions on. Some people say he's great, and he totally is. His mechanics are insane. You can see him right there. 169 reaction, 90 accuracy. Those might be the best aim lab stats that we've seen so far.
Is
at least
low
based
speed
on
good or higher speed good?
I think that might be what's bringing his overall player rating down, because it's only a
Perhaps.
76. So my guess is you want more speed.
Yeah.
Okay, well, in either
sense.
case, I think Asian is correct. I think he's really put on a good performance. I'm not sold it's going to be consistent yet. I think he's got to still prove that. Obviously, we're only one game in. I don't want to say definitive statements with anyone, but it's certainly a good start. And if he can continue that here in this game, that's going to be really good for his future prospects.
I don't know, a primary thing for me was Blaz, in spite of Asian and Doc doing really well.
I do agree.
Mostly because if you need somebody leading the charge, you need it to be somebody 90% of the time who already has some kind of experience within the formula or the system that Parabellum were trying to run. I think having Sonar come in is nice, if only to give him a little bit more bolstering, but it's also weird, I know, for somebody like he mentioned in his interview yesterday, having to make that transition from European into North American Siege. You called it a more professional environment, but it's also the case where you need to be first guy in, frontlining for your team, doing that with rookies that you kind of have to work in tandem with, and you're not necessarily doing it in a language which you might think in primarily. I feel like Blaz did a lot of very mature things yesterday in that matchup to help Asian and Doc flourish in the way that we knew they were probably going to anyway. I didn't think it would happen this quickly against a team like OXG on a map like Border, so a lot of things I had about this or that game that were against Parabellum turned out to be phenomenal when it was all said and done.
Yeah, Blaz yesterday, 149 EPS. The highest EPS that we had yesterday was 150. So the fact that he hit 149, very impressive from Blaz. He was really, especially after that tack timeout, taking things into his own hands on defense. He was making things happen. He was making moves in a game that it really felt like was kind of being controlled by Auction at the start. He took control back from that game, and that really did start off the comeback from Parabellum.
You know, you mentioned the tack timeouts, and when I was talking to the Parabellum players last week, this is one thing they mentioned specifically that they wanted to improve on, focus on for Stage 3 was taking the tack timeouts at the right time and then getting value from that. If we go back a little bit, obviously Stage 1, the Kirby plushie, not going to be calling a lot of tack timeouts. They basically called none. Stage 2, they had Smitaceous back there. It got a little bit better, but he was more of an analyst than a coach, according to the players. And so the sense of when to call those, the sense of how to use those wasn't quite there yet. Now that they've got Sonar in, we saw it yesterday. We know it's a focus for them. We think it's going to be better as far as the tack timeouts go.
Yeah, definitely from a mental management point of view, it felt like that was the thing that was never really up to league standard. And aside from that, I think having the guy in the background who actually has the right amount of game sense is also a really huge deal. I feel like PB being the farm team is a joke that we've made a lot because of the amount of people that they've gotten swapped out. Yeah. But if you do that with Sonar in your back corner, you're actually able to call things out, and you do it in a live environment, which is, again, something VBM is incapable of doing. Maybe this can be a little bit more glue. If this team keeps on having success, then you're not looking towards what happens in CL for next stage to find your replacements when you're going into like invitational qualifier territory. Maybe that is enough to actually get these guys to stick together and get them maybe a top 4 finish.
Yeah, I think that like you take a look at Sonar coming into the league, right? And he's a young player. He's the youngest person that will be standing behind a team this NAL stage, but it works really well. Him being able to communicate with the players, get them in the right space mentally, call those tack timeouts, and then VBM kind of back at home, being able to provide all those strats, help out with the setups. I think that's been a great combo from them on the support staff side.
Right. So we've discussed Parabellum, but we can't ignore the team on the other side of the arena. It's XSET, of course, our winningest NA team right now. Perhaps the best team in North America after their semifinals performance at the Berlin Major.
I can still hear Milos saying they're a Brazilian team, and I just don't want that in my head right now.
You know, the players will claim that they're an NA team. You know, that they're a little bit of both. But we'll claim them, because what else do we have right now? Give us this. That's all we got at the Major, right?
Right.
You can call them the best team in North America and say they're a Brazilian team in North
I
America.
call them the best NAL team, and that's just
Sure. Yeah.
That is factually
that
correct.
metric is not wrong.
That's
yeah.
correct.
That is a true statement. They are our best team that plays in North America.
Good enough for me.
Yeah, I'll
That's
still
right.
take
We'll
that.
take it.
Yeah,
We'll take it.
I think
We're a melting pot. Come on.
in spite of
There
the
you go.
team that they played yesterday, XSET didn't felt like they really overcomplicated that game against Beast Coast. They proved their focus and they're ready to give everyone a fight in Stage 3. I was a little worried when I saw Rogue lose their first match after winning the Berlin Major, and I'm like, are we going to see some teams maybe not be fully concentrated and focused on what going into their very first matchup? And yes, the caliber of opponent is one question, but it still felt as though XSET were really there. Chalet was an interesting pick given they had a 50-50 record on it prior to yesterday, but it's also really nice to see them show some confidence and strong presence on a map that isn't really in their pool very often. So if there was really anything to talk about for this XSET team other than them being back, I do like them showing some flexibility.
Yeah, I think they've had a great major. Obviously, they came back. They had a fantastic first day back, highest EPS of a team than any other team here in the NAL, beaten on Beast Coast. They had the highest average kills per round, the lowest average deaths per round. They didn't lose a single defense. Diaz died only twice, Gomez only 3 times. They went 8-1 on entry. Do you want me to keep going, or can we just understand that
I
this
think
team's
they're
back?
back.
We got it. Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Insert the Michael Jordan meme right now.
I mean, somebody's got to, speaking of Michael Jordan, somebody's got to be the guy in the poster getting dunked on, right? And yesterday that was
Yesterday that was Beast Coast, yeah.
Yep. I mean, it's tough. They're kind of looking like the league punching bag at the moment. Hopefully that won't last forever. But I think they have to come into today with the attitude of, all right, today our challenge really begins. Today we have to take this team very seriously. We have to really kind of put everything out there, because I think Parabellum's going to be a scary opponent.
I think it will be. And the other thing to notice about XSET was they were one of the teams that really had a big Finca presence, like split between 2 players beforehand, right? And we already know from just 6 games of the NAL, Finca is basically non-existent. That was also something Parabellum tried to tap into themselves, and it didn't really go anywhere. Without Finca being juggled between Gomez and Spirits, because they played on Chalet yesterday, that was Spirits picking up the buck and was doing phenomenal on it, while Gomez still retained more of the Yana duties, and I think what we had DS was on Zof. So it's cool that we're getting more of that split. I don't think Buck is, even with the Gon 6 buff, is going to be that persistent in the meta at the moment, but it's nice that Spirits is still able to pick something up, and taking Finca out of their rotation, I don't really think it's going to hurt them much. Again, it's only been 1 game, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think Buck is probably like map specific there, and then you take a look at, like, I think most teams are running Yana Zoe as the most common entry duo, because Finca is not very good anymore.
And the
Nook
AR
is
is back,
banned 1000% of the time, so Nook isn't really an option for most maps here. But yeah, I think it's nice to see XSET adapting to a new meta.
Yep, that's right. And now we have to see what the adaptation are as far as the map we're going to go to. I believe the bans are in, so momentarily we'll find out what map we're headed to. But I just want to get this going, man. I mean, I think this is going to be action-packed. I think it's going to be a great one. We're not going to Clubhouse. We're not going to Skyscraper yet.
Not a huge surprise. Clubhouse is a permaban for Parabellum, and XSET, they've played it 6 times this year, so you know they weren't going to ban it. Very obvious ban coming through there. Then we get Oregon. The second time we've seen XSET ban Oregon this stage, despite it being their most played map of Stage 2, and they played very well. Other than their games against the world champs, they were 4-1 on it, so they were very, very good on that map, 3-1 even. Surprising that they're going to take it out, but it's not when they want to play throughout the NAL, throughout Stage 2 so far. They then have Chalet and Cafe. Cafe kind of sucks to have to ban it if you're XSET. It's not a great map for you, but you take a look at Parabellum, and it's not really a great map for them either. Both these teams on a 3-game losing streak or worse, but somebody's got to take it out of the pool unless they want to risk it, and these 2 teams, they sure don't.
I mean, I actually don't really like the way this ban phase has gone, because it basically forces Parabellum to take another map out of their pool that they're not good at, as opposed to another map that XSET themselves might be good with. And it begs the question of, do XSET want to take a Parabellum team to Villa? And in spite of that being a map that XSET have played a lot, that's also arguably one of Parabellum's bastions, but we don't see it. We go to Border, and this complicates things even more. XSET, prior to the Berlin Major, had only played it twice. Then they went to Berlin and won and lost it once, so they're still 50% on it for the year. And Parabellum, the only time they've played Border was the very first game of this entire NAL season against that Beast Coast team, and lost it. So as it might seem like it's a 50-50 map on paper, but I still think that XSET overall as a coaching staff have a deeper understanding of this map overall, and it feels as though Parabellum kind of let this one slip towards the very end, banned a lot of maps that they knew XSET weren't comfortable with, but kind of forgot to leave a map in their rotation that I think they probably would have preferred. That's just my initial reaction looking at this. It feels to me that XSET kind of won this ban phase.
I mean, we've got the second time in a row where a team repeats the map, right? Beast Coast were repeating Chalet, and now we've got Parabellum kind of repeating
With the exception
Border
of
here.
yesterday, yes, that's true.
So, I mean, it's going to be fun to see how Parabellum's, ideas and stuff have changed on this map, because we didn't see XSET playing the same defenses at all. They went super heavy on the mirror yesterday, and then they banned out the mirror today. Parabellum, we'll see if they run kind of similar strats on Border, or if they try to switch it up a little bit.
Right. Well, there you go. We're going to Border. And the question is now, who do we think is going to win? What prediction are we going to make? First of all, we'll have to ask Penguin and Taro. They're still ready over there to cast the game. But first, we got to talk about it. I think this one, obviously much harder to call than our first map of the day, but just in general, I think a little bit tricky after what we saw from Parabellum yesterday. What are you thinking?
Oh, I actually have no idea with this one. This is probably the match where I don't feel very confident in picking either team. I lean towards XSET because of how they did yesterday, because of how they did at the major. But Parabellum really did surprise me in their matchup. So
Yep.
I mean, I'm a coin toss.
I'm a bit of a contest
Are you
too.
really?
I think it comes down to how well prepared is XSET for what PB did yesterday against OXG, and how does they match up. I'm gonna go to PB because new boys in the block looked great yesterday. I liked their interview.
Wow.
I'll give them a golden star for that too. Good job, Asian. Yeah.
Confidence in PB and Taro?
Yeah.
Well, with the exception of the fans, I appear to be the highest rated
We didn't ask.
here.
Oh.
Yeah, you're right.
We did
What do
not
you know?
request this information.
Damn.
You didn't need to. I mean, you're ahead of Jesse, so I guess that counts.
No, wait,
Ridiculous.
Wait, we shouldn't
honestly,
be.
I wanted
I
default.
just don't think they
no.
updated Jesse's number,
Wait,
actually.
why we voted the same person? Why am I below you? We both voted TSM.
Yeah, were we the same to start the day?
Yeah. No, I was above you.
His pick counts for more than
So wait,
with my number.
Pengu's losing now.
I'm losing. I went down, but I guess correct. I guess I swear.
Sabotage.
Stop the count.
Was
Stop the
not
count.
losing.
Why are you saying stop the count?
Well, I don't want
You
to
want
go,
them to keep count.
Widespread
Oh,
fraud.
well,
You got him.
He just conceded the election.
You're not the highest anymore.
All right, so PB for Pengu. What's
I'm
going to
gonna
be
go
in Taro?
I'm gonna go
You got to
XSET.
make a pick.
I'm going to go XSET.
XSET. All
I
right.
rep
go,
the set
I
here.
go PB.
I would love to vote for PB, but honestly, I think it's going to be a close match. I think XSET's going to win.
All right, repping the set once again. We'll catch up with the two of you once the map starts. Thanks for the input. And now, my analysts.
I feel like
what do you think?
I feel like every time I vote against PB, they end up winning.
Yeah.
But I'm
Happens a
still
lot.
gonna vote XSET because I can't go
Okay.
against the team that did so well at the major. But I feel like I'm gonna get burned. This is the game where once again, like all the times, I vote against Parabellum and they somehow pull through.
I mean, everyone knows how much I vehemently hate Parabellum as a team. The players know it. Their former players know it.
My
They,
gosh.
they know I hate you.
That's harsh.
And it's for that reason that I'm going to pick against you and go for XSET. But there is logic behind this.
Okay.
OXG had a lot of problems they still need to sort through. I don't even know if they're going to have enough time to get that corrected for their game against SSG later. And I think that really manifested in that game against Parabellum, who took advantage. XSET don't have similar problems like that. In spite of the map being one they just won on, I'm still going for XSET for this one because I hate PB.
Okay, there you go. A lot of hate. I will choose. Jacob woke up this morning and chose violence. I guess I will choose
can't do
love.
that.
I'll choose to go with the flow. See what Destiny, see what Fates decides. It's going to be head, Parabellum, tails, XSET. You know, flipping it into the lights is actually kind of difficult.
Is that why you dropped it yesterday?
It's
making
it's like
excuses,
looking into the
Noah.
sun when you do. The sun was in my eyes. All right, it's tails. Coin says XSET. You know, yesterday the coin says Parabellum predicted the upset. Today it feels like XSET has the experience. They have what it takes.
That's
to win it.
reassuring. That's reassuring for me.
Thanks, Coin.
Is it? I mean, the coin is just a random thing, so who knows? What do the fans have to say? The fans have picked XSET. Okay, there you go.
Pengu is on an island.
Only Pengu has picked Parabellum, so there's a chance Pengu jumps ahead in percentages, or maybe just goes down again. Who knows, really?
Risking it all. I like it.
We'll find out. Let's look at what the community poll is going to this one. The question is that we have to mull over.
What did Bart come up with this
We'll
time?
find out in a moment. I can just read off my card. I'll let you know.
You could just do that.
It's going to be, who will end with more kills, Gomez or Blas? That's a good question. What do you think?
Gomez or Blast more? Ooh, that is tough.
It's a basic one. I'm inclined to say Blast, just because of what he was able to do yesterday. But I wonder if he might actually end up having way more deaths and Asian and Doc clean up more of the kills. So I think maybe Gomez wins this.
Gomez did have the second fewest number of deaths of any player in the league yesterday.
Because he's not an entry.
He plays relatively aggressive.
That would help with that.
Gomez and Diaz both had almost 0 deaths.
He's such a good second line player. He's so good.
It is interesting to think about, too, because Parabellum yesterday looked like one of those teams where if somebody has an off day, there's going to be like 2 other people that'll step up and have a great day.
It did have that appearance, yeah.
And I feel like that's where you want to be. That's a position you want to be in the most with the team, is that you want to be able to have a situation where if somebody has an off day, somebody else is there to pick up the slack. Yeah, that's right. Well, on that note, I believe it's time to take a bit of a break. And when we come back, the map begins. Parabellum versus XSET should be action-packed. Either way, tough to predict. Parabellum still trying to prove themselves with their new roster. XSET trying to prove that they are going to get back to another major and win it, or at least lose in the finals and then win, the same. Either way, we'll be back in a minute.
Time for our second matchup of the day. 2 teams with red logos to battle on Border of all places. XSET won their match yesterday. They kept their roster that they've had for quite a while now. Parabellum made some changes. They picked up the dynamic duo of Asian and Doc, and they looked mighty fine in their debut yesterday, toppling OXG in our very first matchup of stage number 3. You think that Parabellum's going to take it. I think that XSET's going to take it. That's mostly just for show, to be honest, as predictions are more often than not.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows the story that PB had a great time yesterday against OXG, one of the top teams in North America, and yet no one's betting for them. What's up with that? So I said, I will be that guy. I will be the single person from this show that will say, I believe in them. And if I'm wrong, so be it. And if I'm right, I get crazy amount of points. You guys go down. No real losing on my side, that is.
All right, well, we're getting into the game pretty quickly. Want to make up for any lost time that we might have had. The very first match went by in the blink of an eye. TSM making it a fast one. So we can get into Border here for Parabellum versus XSET much faster. Let's get underway with our second match of the day. Parabellum starting on defense. They get first ban and we say goodbye to Buck against XSET.
Some vertical destruction being gone, some flexibility being limited there from the attacking side, and Nuke stays alive for now, but XSET of course can still change that. Kino says no Kali, haha. Good luck, have fun. Kino does love playing the Kalian Villa. We saw it a couple of times actually.
Yes,
Or
he
Bank
does.
rather as well.
Nomad.
Nomad follows along. So Nuke being open, Lion being open. A lot of different attackers that are quite strong utility is now being able to be brought to border in this matchup.
Kool-Aid being very gracious, offering Kino offering basically anything, and Kool-Aid being really nice. Kino says, "I'm better than you at anything you play." Yeah, Kino, but do you have hair as nice as Kool-Aid?
That's a good point. Saw some pretty nice photos of Kool-Aid on Twitter last night.
Please, for the love of God, players, spend as much time as is humanly possible off of Reddit. I promise you it's better for your mental health. Lots of good subreddits out there, but if you are a player or even a caster and you're spending an inordinate amount of time reading the opinions of Redditors on your job, you are in the wrong place. I promise you that.
I think it's a true statement. I used to say as a player that you gotta choose your social medias that you check, right? And Reddit is definitely a rough one, I would say, no matter where you are in life. So, yeah, like, don't go there, if anything. Go elsewhere. What would you say is the nicest social media, Parker? I'm curious what your thoughts are.
The nicest
Like
social media?
the best, if you will. Like, what's the social media to go?
None.
None. Okay, you know what? Real
They
life,
all suck.
Real life socializing, maybe, perhaps?
I mean, I feel like Facebook and Twitter can be good if you follow the right people.
Okay.
Right? Like, the problem is that if you follow the wrong people, then it gets miserable very quickly and it will poison your brain.
Okay. Poison. Setup here from Parabellum on the defensive side, bringing a quite ordinary lineup of operators. Mirror is a bit of an option that you can use or not, but it is being brought out this time. Maestro seeing a bit of play from Eska. Maestro's pick rate used to be sky high, but slowly as the meta got more and more aggressive, he's kind of faltered on the meter. XSET bringing both the Amaru, the Lion, and the Dogebi, as well as the Ying. So very explosive lineup, very execution-oriented from them. We've seen Sonics do something similar, although they had a Blackbeard in the mix. That is not going to be the case with them, as Ash and Gomez is the 5th operator for the XSET attack and lineup.
Ooh, first pick goes to Parabellum. Answer back right away. Gomez trades out Yaga. You say goodbye to Blaz. Second highest rated player yesterday, is that what I heard the desk say?
I believe so.
1.49 over a 1.5, as close as it gets. That's also the Lion off of the board.
It's a worthy trade for Parabellum. Trading Milusi, who put down all her gadgetry, versus Lion with an active gadget that they needed for the execute. I think that if you were to trade this, Blast was the winner here.
It's also the Yog Dog that you got.
It's
off
the Yog
board.
Dog.
The Yog Dog. They sent him back to the pound for that one.
They did. Was a dog as well.
One of the two newest players for Parabellum. You're going to hear us talk an awful lot about both Asian and Doc. And we're not talking about the operator, we're talking about the player himself.
Keep it deployed.
Pay no attention to the fact that Asian just had a bit of a near miss.
Oh.
Spirits is very quickly on the hunt, but Asian comes out on top of the engagement and continues to get away. XSET wanting to be quick, wanting to be fast, but just cannot get it done right now. Doc having some difficulties, but he's got Kool-Aid there. Back pocket, Diaz and Kino falter. It leaves Gomez in a 1v3 for XSET. Lots of time still left to go. We'll confront a black mirror. Doesn't know where anybody is behind it. Nice to see an Ash back in the meta. And it's Asian playing the corner. Gets the final kill. Parabellum take round number 1.
Good start there. I mean, once XSET lost the line, they kind of felt like, you know, let's just push that go button anyway. But imagine the line scan is there to keep Asian stuck in that box. Amaru can then go up the hatch with more confidence with the flashbang as well. And maybe that plays out differently. Maybe the follow-up isn't punished as well from Kool-Aid as it was. I believe it was the members of XSET going into security window that got shut down by that mirror into position Amaru, as that double kill came out back to back and really stopped them dead in their tracks. One floor down we go into ventilation workshop, but it's a similar position to be played than the last round, than that of the last round, as we're going to go upstairs and extend that vertical presence one floor above, because the entirety of both ventilation and the workshop bomb side can be seen from Armory and Archives, and there are 2 hatches above as well that can give you direct access to the bomb site too. Banshees, of course, going to cover all the common grounds of both the B bombs and the blue hallway. The third Banshee looks to be going upstairs as well. Asian on the Capcan is going to bring a similar style fashion where either you will shoot the trap and then you will hear information of where the attackers are coming from, and they'll walk through the trap, take damage, and you'll hear the sound cue of the explosion. It's stuff like that where suppressors, once again, we talk about this quite a lot, where suppressors are quite common, or quite strong rather, because you can now silently shoot gadgetry and not give away that sound cue as easily as before. Same with shooting default cameras. I remember back in like the early days of Siege, everybody would run like a suppressor on the pistol. You could swap to your pistol, shoot a camera, go back to your primary, and people are like, oh, I'm sneaky. As the game got more and more complicated and more advanced, that has kind of left the meta, but suppressors are back on the menu across all both primary and secondary guns, so might see that happen throughout this game.
When do you think we'll see a Nook?
We should see a Nook at some point.
When?
I think round 4 from XSET and round 1 from Parabellum when they go on attack.
Awesome, thank you for letting me know.
You're welcome. Let's keep track of it. I'll keep track of it.
XSET's primary focus at the moment is on security. Asian is playing in this position with no real way out, it looks like. But instead, holding the same weapon that he had with his zombie. Oh, never mind, he's got a hatch. He can just drop down it. Right now, inside of customs. Diaz on the hunt. He's a little bit too far behind. They've allowed Asian to get out of dodge very quickly.
Yeah, it's not safe yet though. XS are looking for an opportunity. Ash charge, Sophia charge, destruction being made, sounds going off, but it's Parabellum looking to aggress here. Kool-Aid playing a very aggressive on this breach all alone.
He's about to lose some of that security just above him, and damage is done as that Selma goes off, but engages yet again. A bit of difficulty, but he gets the down onto Yaga with the impact grenade at the last second. Blaz gets one for Parabellum, so for the second round in a row, it's a trade for both teams. Nobody coming out ahead. Yaga's retrievable at this point, though. I don't know if Parabellum are aware of the fact that he's bleeding out. They should be able to get the sledge back up with just 20% of his HP.
Yeah, so it's a little decent trade. It's a 1-for-1. Yaga stays alive but down for an HP. Spirit's half as well. Blast almost half. Still Parabellum arguably in the lead here. Asians does customs control, guaranteeing more map control and advantage to the side of Parabellum in the defense. Slowly the time here is taken down. Blast, nice shot onto Kino. PB, they stay tight.
Not droning out security proves to be a major issue. Doc in on the fun as well for Parabellum. XSET having some troubles, but Asians looking the wrong way. Diaz walks right through a doorway that was not in the peripherals of Asian one bit. Diaz is still in this spot, tantalizingly close to getting into the bomb site, but neither him nor Spirits, whom is now dead, have access to that diffuser. Blaz a third kill, looking for more. Diaz will creep up and will alert the Malusi Banshee. They know exactly where he is. The sound cue gives it away, and he'll get smoked out, looking to reposition over towards the bathroom. And Eska also a kill of his own. Almost everybody from Parabellum got in on that round. Only Kool-Aid, as far as I'm aware, went without a kill on Asian, too. Parabellum's up 2-0, though.
Blaz having a great time that round, just finding kill after kill after kill on that crotch arbiter alibis, we can call it sometimes, and is this going to be a tactical timeout? I'm thinking, questioning, wondering what the case might be. Yep, so XSET down 2-0, or 0-2 rather, are going to call their tactical timeout, which you said yesterday, Parker. Whenever they call their timeout, they go absolutely nuclear after the fact.
Yeah, I mean, I was going off of nothing scientific. I didn't have any stats to back me up. I was just going off of the old eye test.
But it's true.
Which is when XSET calls a timeout, whether it's because they settle themselves down or come up with a strategy on the fly that is allowing them to build momentum in the game, they are a team that seems to disproportionately benefit from a tactical timeout. Yesterday, they won 5 rounds in a row after their tactical timeout and put the game away. Well, they find themselves in a similar situation today. They went down 2 rounds. Even though it was a tie, technically, they lost 2 in a row to Beast Coast. They call it timeout. They win the next 5. They win the whole game. Now against Parabellum, on defense, on border, they've gone down the first 2 rounds. And it's not even that they've gone down the first 2 rounds, Nick. It's that there haven't been confidence-inspiring rounds from XSET. Their entries have looked shaky and weak. It doesn't look like their drone work is finding their mark. There have been a number of kills, especially to start off the festivities, from Parabellum, where XSET just have been caught by surprise. They don't think that there's somebody in that angle, and then there is. While this tactical timeout could shape up to be quite interesting if you move your eyes to the right side of the screen. Capitao, Glaz, Ying, Amaru, and Lion could be what's on the menu, and that's a 3-star Michelin restaurant style menu right there for XSET.
Yeah, that could be quite something. I mean, this can speak to two different sides of one coin. Either it's a direct take on Taylor's window, straight in and get the bomb down and play the post plant, or we're somehow gonna use the Amaru to get fast in the building, get a bit of ground, and then execute. But look at this spawn point. 4 members on this side. Window's gonna get opened up. Smokes, Cantillas could possibly go out with the Lion charge as well. And then all of a sudden, before you know it, the round might just be over. I'll have to wait and see for just a second. Ying goes to the drone hole, I believe, on the side of your screen, and then it's gonna be chaos from there.
Oh, and here it comes very quickly. Kino already in at the halfway point with the diffuser. 30 seconds off the clock. First kill goes to the Amaru of Yaga. But SK answers back, and the diffuser does not go down in the final moments. XSET denied the diffuser to be planted. Parabellum managed to bail themselves out of that spot. Doc finds a second kill for Parabellum. Yaga's now the one down, and the diffuser is surrendered in the middle of the bomb site, quite possibly the worst place for it to be.
Yeah, this is essentially on paper round over for XSET. And of course they can still win it, but like they gambled everything on this singular execute, and they were basically 1 second away from getting that diffuser down. Had they gotten it down, that should be the round victory for them. So PB, despite being blinded and smoked off, they found the angle and found the kill. That's all that matters for them. Now they can sit tight and wait because, well, XSET got to drone out the entire map, take top floor, work their way down, and still have to attack the bomb site without the diffuser in their pocket. It's no easy task.
The difference that half a second makes really is quite remarkable. You've still got utility to the gills. You don't have any of your Candelas left. That is a big problem. But you've got 2 EE1Ds in the hands of Lion and a flash, and you've got 4 smokes. So at worst, you can smoke out the site and get Spirits to do some form of covering fire as the Glaz. But right now, it's just a waiting game.
Yep.
30 seconds, XSET was in the building. Now with a minute to go, they're treading water, trying to figure out what the next steps are.
Yep. Meanwhile, PB playing a smart game of just falling back one room at a time, not really overextending their situation, not really getting caught in any crossfires along the way. Doc all the way back towards the bomb side, playing down the clock so beautifully with 50 seconds left to go. Gomez has smoke grenades to spare, but no Cantillas to be had, and Asian just swings the hatch and finds an easy kill into Gomez. Nice shot indeed.
Well, as things went from bad to worse, it looked like an excellent beginning of the round for XSET, and by all measures, it was, frankly. But things are just not happening here. Asian with 2 kills now, leaving Diaz in this position at the bottom of the stairs. And it's 3 final kills for Asian. The timeout not working at all. Parabellum still undefeated. They're up 3-0.
Let's see if XSET will bring out the nuke now, because I said round 4 XSET brings it, and round 1 when PB goes on tech they will bring it. So let's see if we still got it or not. I mean, I feel like at this point, if I'm XSET, I'm thinking we gotta just sneak around the map and try and get some cheesy kills or something for our money's worth, because the entries and the executes are not working out in our favor in the slightest. And PB can now just work their way through the bomb site prioritization. They went Armory, Ventilation, Bathroom, back to Armory, a full bomb site reset. Customs, of course, almost never played in professional tier 1 play. Usually when it is, it's a pocket site, we gotta bring out something spicy, or maybe you assume that the enemy doesn't know how to attack it that comfortably if you studied their VODs. Look at that, Spirits is actually a tanker repicking onto Nuke.
Oh
round 4.
You were right.
That's it.
You were right.
Yep.
I hate to say it.
Damn.
I will say it out loud.
Damn.
Unless in the next 10 seconds, something changes.
No, I feel like the fact that he hovered it is like, I want even if he doesn't stick anymore. Has to be. Also, he's gonna stick it because if you're XSET, and I know this, you need the nuke here. You need a cheese. You tried the rush cheese, that didn't work. Now you're gonna do the sneak cheese. You're gonna go 4 people once at the map, nuke opposite. You have spare grenades. You can just try and get the opening, walk through those default cameras, and apply that phantom pressure on towards XSET, or sorry, on towards Parabellum rather, on the defensive side, and try and find value elsewhere.
Well, you were absolutely correct. The nuke is locked in, 20 seconds into the round. Where, oh where, will this Danish operator go to fly under the radar? I like that XSET is changing things up. They desperately need to after the start of this matchup, and there the entry for Spirits is. In through supply, and now into customs. And we'll wait it out. Wait, what logo was that she just pulled up on her cam? Did I miss something?
Oh, is it the Wolf Guard? Was it blue?
No, it looked like a spider.
Oh, I don't know then.
It That was very peculiar. I actually haven't seen that before. Maybe I'm just not up with it, but either way. Interesting. Asian gets shot through the door, / through the wall, / through the barricade, wherever he was. But he's looking the wrong way now. The first round that we haven't had an immediate trade gives XSET a huge advantage. Asian has been phenomenal so far in this matchup and has been particularly crucial playing upstairs inside of security.
Yep, it's very important here to take down, and of course now XSET, the clock is ticking a little bit for them, but taking out the top gunner is going to help them at that once they close in towards the bottom side. Nuke downstairs, clearing both pieces of map on the main stairs of metal. Can now walk up safely as that sound cue is gone from the round from the defenders of Parabellum. Breach going towards the mirror on Armory's side. That's going to help you get closer towards the bomb site itself. You have smoke grenades on Diaz on Twitch too, so plenty of different pieces of utility. While Diaz finds the second kill of the round onto Blaz.
Now Blaz is down for the count. XSET continuing to add to their body counts. Spirit's in a pivotal spot. He sees the head of the smoke, but for a second has to peel off. Eska stays alive for now. It's Doc to try and capitalize on Nakino, and he manages to get it as he hits the ground. Recoil was a little bit pesky there. A Twitch drone narrows in just behind that Kiba barrier, but Doc is able to get away. Still positioned at the top of the stairs, just by metal detectors, but constantly harassed by this drone and baited into a kill by Yaga. Excellently done. A second kill from Yaga. Leaves Kool-Aid to try and fend for himself. Not a ton of bullets left. 13, but he finds at least one kill. Here's the F2, a nice pick onto Yaga. Has to retreat and reload. XSET will push in. Kool-Aid thinks that they're coming from a direction that they are not. Narrowly misses out on a head through the small opening in that steel reinforcement. Needs to pick his targets well. He hears one, but they double up on him, and you just can't beat the fire rate of the F2. XSET finally gets their first round.
That they do, and it all came off that opening kill, and then they just kept up that momentum and played it nice together. They were not exposed themselves to those 1v1s, especially in security. When Doc got that initial kill, it was 3 members of XSET that were trying to capitalize onto the single member of PB, and that right there kept them in the man advantage to get that round victory towards the end. I believe we'll have a quick pause while Asian fixes his audio issues he did right after he died. I don't have audio, to which we'll say, we'll fix it for you. Get that right back, because we're going to fight on even terms, 5v5. Everybody can see, hear, and feel their fingertips. We can play evenly in the server. Have you seen these, they've got these, like, I think they're like heat warmers or hand warmers, like machines?
Yes.
So, like, between rounds, they just, like, slap their hands toward them and get fired up, if you will. It's always tough to play in arenas or LAN tournaments because you have like AC, like moving air, and like your hands don't really move a whole lot. So they get super, super cold. Most pro players don't prefer playing with their arm sleeves down, especially not like a mouse arm. So you just get these like frost-tipped fingers that just cannot move whatsoever. And that's obviously not ideal for competitive play. Warm hands are much, much more so. So we got hand warmers in the physical form. We got hand warmers in the electric form. And then, of course, a good old test of like putting your hands on your belly or something like that to keep them warm between rounds as well. Plenty of options here.
Well, hopefully it's resolved relatively quickly. Lack of audio would have explained why Asian stood completely still like a T-Hunt bot while he got shot from the side if he's not hearing it. With the amount of suppressors that are being ran, I don't know if audio is really as valuable for some of these gunfights as it could be, of course. There's a joke before those of you get angry and say, well, actually, I was very critical. Because that's what you sound like when you say silly things on social media. I'm sure that's what I sound like to many of you as well.
Audio is very important for a couple of factors, but most notably is that you actually respond faster to audible like sound cues than you do to like visual cues. So by hearing someone sprinting towards you, you can actually react and also like preemptively react rather than seeing the person. So sound is very important for multiple factors. Reaction time and speed is also one of them. We're back in the server ventilation, again going through that same rotation as before. Spirits going from Nuke to the Monty of all operators, which could once again kind of present ourselves for a bit of a roam clear situation. I don't think they're going to go for direct attack with that. Kino going from Hibana to Hibana, that's a great attacker repick. And Diaz from Twitch to the Lions. We're going to try and control the movement here of Parabellum. That's both the Monty and the Lion doing that same job. It's going to be Gomez and Yogg trying to find the kills together with Diaz, while Kino will do some drone work most likely. So you cannot afford to lose Hibana with these hatches above being reinforced, as well as most walls to the exterior of the map.
Well, Monty coming in is going to be fascinating to watch. I like the lineup that's being brought from XSET. Monty has been tried and true in a number of times over the last 2 days of play. We saw him yesterday in the Sonics matchup as well that you and I casted. So,
saw him twice, both in the same attack.
I mean, the thing with a Monty is that if you can wrestle control of that top floor, which right now looks like there's actually nobody defending it right now from Parabellum. If you can wrestle that away from PB, well, I might have spoken too soon. Kool-Aid walks out directly into a Monty and no, get out of there, run, run, run. Danger. You don't want to be there. You got to get out. Spirit's now on the hunt. First pick did go to Parabellum though. Gomez down, the Yana no longer available.
One of the downsides of playing Monty is that you're basically, it's kind of like playing Clash in Defense. You're kind of playing 4 versus 5 when it comes to the gunplay at least. So losing Gomez, not only do you lose half your grenade utility, but you lose 1 more gun. So now you're playing 3 versus 5 gun-wise with a walking drone of Monty that is Spirit. So the firepower from XSET with that opening kill not going in their favor is dwindling at the moment. And PB establishing Crossfire inside of Office. It's Blast and it's going to be Kool-Aid playing together here in this position.
There's the first line charge that goes off in this execute. Spirits take some damage. That's a disappearing act as Blaz gets away, but Kool-Aid is still here. Nobody knows. Turn your back. And there he is. An easy down and kill for Kool-Aid to secure. A second pick. He scoots over towards the window inside of Office, and he's just going to wait ever so patiently.
I like that play. They're going to think he dropped the hatch.
No. Kino runs in. Kool-Aid hears this. Diffuser's been juggled. Kool-Aid surely sees the case laying on the ground. Who's the one that's going to go retrieve it? Because they'll be walking right into the waiting arms again. Where are the drones? There's still 7 drones in play for XSET, but they're not using any of them at all. Case has not been retrieved. Sledge of Yaga from above will find himself in a collision course. Kool-Aid gets the pick and then again retreats. Down goes Blaz to Kino, keeping it close. Every kill so far from Parabellum in the hands of Kool-Aid, and he's still sitting on top of that diffuser. He could have another one as well. Kino through the wall, there he is. No more Kool-Aid. XSET have turned this one around. Doc in a 1v2, make it a 1v1. Miraculous shot into Diaz. Kino will need to clutch out for his team. Diffuser in hands, immobile for a short period of time. Doc will look for the smoke. Kino has no choice but to peel off and reposition, but he might take the engagement instead. He doesn't have a lot of time, and there it is. Kino makes the right call and gives XSET their second round in a row.
That's a heartbreaking round because PB played that so well throughout the entirety of that round. Somehow the bombsite members of Parabellum, they fell apart when they knew they had diffuser upstairs. I mean, talk a corner, hide away, try and play the trade. Either way, they did not find what they need. I mean, Kool-Aid getting the Monty here for free, talking the corner, then killing the sledge. Diffuser on the floor. It's a 5 versus 2 in this position. But then the members of PB play too aggressive on the side, they fall. And all of a sudden, well, it goes from bad to even worse. And PB are going to go back towards that same bomb site because they did find success. They technically did win the round, but then they threw it, they lost it out of nowhere at the same time. XSET hovering that same lineup. Diaz on Twitch, but not line. The rest stays the same for now. Spirits once again bringing out that Monty, which did technically work last round, but I think you're right, Parker. They had 7 drones left when the Monty died. No one used their drones. They were just purely on the Monty to clear every single corner. And because of that, well, when he checked the one corner, he died from the other. So while you do have the Monty to do that drone work for you, you can still have one more member droning with him to clear out those crossfire positions. Slight change here at the last second mark. Spirits goes from Monty to Blitz. It's the same similar story, a bit more aggressive and less safe, if you will, but also a much faster operator for this roam clear.
Well, final defense now for Parabellum. They've managed 3 rounds. At worst, they're going to tie it up, but
again,
Kool-Aid starts off the killing, second round in a row. First 3 rounds, very evenly matched. Both teams drawing on first picks. XSET gets first blood in round 4, Parabellum in 5 and 6. Despite that, it was a nice Kino clutch in round number 5 that, despite the advantage that was built up by Parabellum, or more specifically by Kool-Aid, was all for naught.
Try again. There it is.
You didn't even see him hit it.
Well, I saw the indicator hammer go down, so he must have hit it the second time.
Maybe he missed it again.
There's a chance.
Maybe he swung. It's swing and a miss.
There's a chance he missed it again. I'm going to assume he did not.
Yeah, who
knows?
knows?
Dog.
Who knows here? Look at this. Already right in. Spirits charging through on the blitz. And he'll have his shield back up in seconds. Taking damage, lots of chip damage right now.
Oh my
but
God.
soldiering on towards Fountain, and he has yet another to his name on Blaz. There's nothing to answer this blitz as he continues to tear through the map at breakneck speed. Is Asian the next one to follow? There's a hatch open up. 2 different members of Parabellum there to greet the blitz when he drops. Spirits has been reduced to about nothing. So a single bullet from most of these guns will fell him. The question is, do you make it that far? Because there will be a shield sprinting directly at your face.
I love watching Spirits in the Blitz. I wish we saw it more frequently, but it's one of those operas that he has been bringing out since the CL days and whatnot. He does it so well time and time again, even at tier 1 level of play. 2 kills, 2 openings, and yeah, Kino got spawn peak basically, so this would have been a 5 versus 3 if not for that. And while Spirits is low on HP, he did the job that he needed to do. He can still plant, he can still use his smoke grenades, etc. He can still stay alive, but the entire reason for picking the Blitz was a success. They've done that step. Gomez just planting right now, and no one can quite stop him because Doc has no idea this is happening.
Oh, it's bad information right now for Parabellum. It certainly seems like ring around the rosy, but Spirits only gets 2 before being dragged back down. XSET a pick of their own onto Asian in the post plant. The scramble is happening, and Doc has case control right now, but he needs to retake with Eska because the 2 remaining players of XSET have to be found. Where are Yaga and Diaz? Well, they know where at least one of them is. Will he be able to capitalize? No, Yaga gets a single kill. Eska puts himself into a 1v1 against Diaz, but Diaz is perfectly positioned. Eska can long arm this. Diaz actually has to get up to him, and he's sticking it. He has to go quickly. He's hit the Kumine, but will he get it in time? Yes, he will. Diaz again. XSET just pull these rounds out of where the sun don't shine, and the first half goes 3-3, perfectly even.
I want to commend Parabellum being so quick on their decision-making for both members going upstairs to deny the post-plant position, but at the same time, I really want to commend how well XSET played that post-plant. Again, they did not have 2 members above or 2 members outside the building. They had 1 each. It was Yogg on the sledge, up above, makes sense, and Diaz far away outside main door. And again, PB, they gotta fight the clock and multiple angles. And it was very close indeed that Gumine almost sealed the deal, but again, 1 second can make all the difference. And tactical timeout not being forced from PB. Both teams use theirs. I like this situation that when you go to a side swap, you take your tactical timeout before the round starts. You get to talk through your attacks or your defenses, either or. In this case of PB, they'll talk about exactly how they attack the rounds to come.
Something that we've discussed whenever tactical timeouts are taken in, say, like the 5th or 6th round, you have to ask yourself, okay, what is the intended purpose here? Are you gaining any value when the side swap comes in? Because, yeah, you're going to be able to maybe fix 1 to 2 rounds of whatever side you're on, defense, attack. But then you've got an entire other round, and depending on where the score line is at, that could be a lot of rounds that you are missing out on being able to strategize. A very simple question. Who will end up with more kills, Blaz or Gomez? Right now, Blaz has 4. Gomez has 2. What did you say?
Oh,
very close.
Very close.
For good reason.
Yeah. I mean, Gomez and Blaz both had a great game yesterday, and both players obviously in the fracking role, so to speak. They both find the kills in the server, so very close for a good reason indeed there. Also, Blaz, less proven of a player, of course. Still new to the NA scene, but has played in Europe for many, many years. It's still really weird for me to see him on my screen right now casting the NAL because Blaz is a Frenchman. And he did play for French teams back in Europe.
And I don't say this to diminish the abilities of Blaz, but there was a bit of confusion when he was brought over, saying there are better European players, frankly, that can be brought to this team. Why are you bringing over Blaz, who never really had the same level of success as other EU free agents? What is it about? What is it about him in particular that really stands out? Well, they knew something that we didn't. Blaz has been a very important addition to Parabellum thus far.
I mean, you can almost make the argument that Blaz is the same as the likes of Asian or Doc, for example, where it's like a young, up-and-coming player that has that mechanical talent, because in Europe we knew he had that talent, but he wasn't quite given as many chances as he maybe deserved, but happy he found a home here in Parabellum instead to prove himself. Now, first defending round for XSET, looking to do the same thing as PP and play aggressive with these keeper barriers, denying lines of sight, providing much more cover and changing the angles around. And PB, they started Armory side. They've rotated to Office now. They're making their interway. It's a 1v1 situation here from Fountain and Office gun members, and Gomez almost loses his life.
Well, if Gomez wants to win that Twitter poll outright, he's going to have to survive a lot longer with very limited HP. XSET expending considerable resources to stop Parabellum's advance towards Fountain.
That sucks. You breach the wall, Q-Barrett patches it right up again moments after.
That's why you carry sets of explosives. And take a look at the lineup for Parabellum. No shortage of explosions. Nice shot by Blaz. Kool-Aid in 2. Suddenly, Parabellum have found a renewed set of confidence and swagger that was absent for the final 3 rounds. Now it's Spirits to go down to Eska. Everybody from Parabellum getting in on this. Puts XSET in a very bad position. Yaga gone now as well. Diaz, the last one standing. Not a single member of Parabellum has died yet. Kool-Aid on the ground, but he's going to survive and persist. The first flawless round of the matchup goes to Parabellum.
Yep, it's a great start for them. That tactical timeout, I need to remind you, was taken from PP before the round started, so they could go through all the specifics of what they wanted to do, and it worked to great effect. I mean, the entry from Blaz opened up the round, but then Kool-Aid right there with that shot above the shoulder of Blaz takes out the deep Armory player as well, and that really opens up the round for the Parabellum attacking side. Then XSET was scrambling, trying to gain those kills back, but they were found by Eska, playing in 90 inside of break room. Angles are covered, and they were crossed. Ventilation, bomb site downstairs instead. We're going to go through the motions here as XSET does not want to return to the previous bomb site of Armory.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Well, this has been quite an impressive matchup between these two teams, and I will say, as yesterday I praised Mirage, even though they didn't end up winning, and in fact, it wasn't a particularly close matchup. I thought that the roster they had showed some things to me that prove that their potential and their ceiling is higher than previous iterations.
Yeah.
I know that might not be an easy thing to hear for former players, but that's at least what we saw yesterday. There's still 8 more games where Mirage could potentially regress, for all we know. But the one thing about Parabellum was that not only did they stick it with OXG, but they ended up winning the match. And now here they are going toe-to-toe against XSET. XSET are the best placing team over the last 3 months in North America, finishing in the top 4, eventually losing to Rogue in the semifinals of the Berlin Major, when Rogue would obviously go on to win the entire thing. Not too bad to lose to the eventual champs in semis. And XSET have also consistently been a top 4 team in North America that are never out of a matchup. Parabellum are already showing what they can do, and with an entry like that from Blaz, Spirits decides to engage. You've lost the Azami with 2 minutes and 20 seconds left. Those are what, 2 Kiba barriers that will no longer be available. That would have been there if Azami had hung on just a little bit longer.
Yep, that's accurate. Lose a bit of value there, of course, and of course you're down a member as well. Blaz is low on HP, so might want to take a back seat now if they're made off the round and drone out some more and use those grenades and possible hammer later on because he's the vertical player from the team. Kool-Aid finds Yogg as well, so Kool-Aid having a fantastic game so far. 10 kills to his name, 25 devs.
No, Gomez answers back. XSET still trails. But now it's Gomez's turn to take some damage. Drops away. He can very easily get back up top if he wants. Nice play from Diaz. The one thing I will say is that this border match has absolutely been hell in a cell. These are engagements happening all over the map, off-site, very quick, very precise. It's frankly, it's beautiful to see because there is so much mechanical skill on display in this matchup so far.
All 3 members of XSET are off the bomb site at a customs area. The bomb site's ventilation workshop. If PB can drone this out, they know the bomb site is free. They can just go for a plant. Once that goes down, happy days. Gomez, open up this hatch, might go for a flank later on with the right timing. But XSET, they don't have any real way to stop the plant from going down. With these player positions right now, they're playing much, much more passive than what you'd expect.
Well, there's a proximity alarm that goes off. Kino holding on to those smokes, still 2 in his pocket. A little bit of that toxic gas. It's just breathed in by Kool-Aid, who has the diffuser in hand and seems to be relatively safe. But they know exactly where he is. They've got a mark on him. Down goes Kool-Aid to Kino. He decides to take the engagement instead of using his utility. Diffuser will need to be picked back up. Doc, a kill for Parabellum. Now Asian at the front door gets shot at by Kino, and it leaves Doc in a 1v2. Both players from XSET still at full HP, as is Doc. A lot on the line right now. Parabellum hoping to stretch their lead. XSET has not led once yet. They're looking to just tie it up. Toxic Babe goes out, and Kino with the final 3 kills. Good Lord, he's good in the final moments of a round. We're in a tie game yet again.
Shotgun there from Kino is just madness again. He swings the main door to outside the building with the shotgun, not the SMG-11, but Kino's shotgun does more damage than any other member I think I've seen in the NAL. And even Kino looks surprised there on the player cam. Good round for him and XSET. They played it really passive off the bomb site, but it worked out in the end. The Toxic Babe that was tossed from Kino, the first one towards the bomb site, did so much damage on the Kool-Aid, he just needed a single bullet to be taken out later on in that round. 4-4 as we're tied back up. Bathroom is next. Again, XSET on the defense are losing the early engagements, playing either 4 versus 5 or 3 versus 5, but then later on, in the later half of the rounds, that's where they find most of their success. It was Gomez and Diaz that got a kill each, I believe, and that just really sealed the deal for them and got them back into that round. Let's see what they can do now. PB did not bring the nuke the first round. I was wrong, they have not brought it yet so far. They're playing the team game right now, not playing isolated, but playing together instead. No attacker repicks coming out. Their lineup stays the same for this round. Asian on Twitch, of course, to get that firepower and the smoke grenades. Kool-Aid bringing the ace as the hop reacher.
Very similar lineups being brought from these teams on attack. Twitch very firmly back in the meta,
Yes.
or so it seems in North America. Twitch also has access to that 417 to the 417 DMR that Lion has access to as well. We saw Lion running that yesterday in some of the NAL matchups. It's very common to see that in APAC, but has not really made it all the way over to our shores. I guess it has, given that we saw it yesterday, but teams still wanting to go with that much larger magazine and the Vector variant that Lion has access to. Does Spirits know how close he came to just getting shot at by Blaz?
So, I think he has any real idea here. Drone comes in, that should alert him, of course. Now he'll be aware and ready for it.
There's Blaz to go down. Spirits will now engage himself. Spotted, shrugging off a lot of damage in the process. It's been a sluggish performance so far for Spirits. He's got time to get himself back up to find form. Kool-Aid, dare I say the hunkiest man in all of North American League. He's having a really good match. Broken double digits. He's going to have more work to be done as he loses Eska. Asian and on it. 3v3, 1 minute burned off of the clock. Proximity alarm gives Asian away in his position. Still there. Kool-Aid tempting whoever might be inside of security, but they need to drone them out. Spirits is there. This is a standoff. 2 separate players, neither on drone, by the way. Only 4 drones remaining still in play, 1 in the pocket of Kool-Aid. Asian would be the one to take advantage of that, as he has the intel gathering devices.
Tough position to be in, to be honest, because again the information is so low, but Spirits has less HP and Kool-Aid got a better gun, so he wins the gunfight outright. 1:15 the clock, and now PB with that kill are in a much more comfortable position. Now XSET once again have to lash out and isolate a member and try and bring back that man score.
There's that vertical destruction that we've talked about so many times. 1 minute left. XSET still have not led in this matchup. They're looking to change that, as they would be only a couple rounds away from victory. Ditto for Parabellum, but they know the lead. They know what it takes. They've had it for most of this matchup and have only been tied for 2 rounds now at this point. They might run out of time now with 40 seconds to go. Parabellum will reposition back towards this bathroom bomb site. They drop right in the midst of it. Dog's the one that has the cover at the moment. Diffuser can go down. Kino is very helpless inside a workshop. Oh, but a nitro cell goes out. There goes the coverage. Oh. And now it's Diaz's turn to light him up and grab the diffuser moments after it gets planted. XSET take the lead.
Again, in the later stages of the round, it's XSET who comes out on top time and time again. Kino did it. Diaz just did it. That C4 was absolutely wild. Above the fridge, out the window it goes, takes down the cover, and it's easy after that. He just flanks it around because the crossfire was established from the 2 members that were remaining from XSET, and the round goes in their direction. Well done, Diaz. And Spirits here, that could have been a wonderful position to put his team into, but did not quite work out that gunfight. But this right here made up the difference. Beautiful.
Wow. Well, you can't call it timeout, so what is this now? Is it a tech pause?
Maybe. Yep. A tech pause. So teams can talk
Great
about
timing.
each other, but not the coaches. So again, we can only do a little bit of strategizing right now, not that much. A mental reset, perhaps, could be used here for PB, as that round must be heartbreaking to lose because you felt like you had it in the bag until you didn't. Whereas XSET, well, they can laugh all the way to the bank because they should not have gotten that round, but they did, and they're in the lead now. 5-4.
Well, it was a crash from Diaz. I guess he clutched so hard. Diaz just clutched so hard that the entire game could not handle the heat. And it was forced to close and restart again. Unfortunate timing for XSET. It does allow Parabellum to kind of take a breather, though.
Yeah.
They can strategize a bit. Obviously not with their coach. Again, the differentiation between a tech pause and a tactical timeout is that the tactical timeout, you can talk to your coach. That's Sonar, if I remember correctly, standing behind Parabellum.
I believe you are correct.
Thank you.
And it seems to have been
Venus
resolved.
is behind XSET.
Yes.
It does seem to be resolved. The game is back up. Unfortunately, Diaz has lost all of his kills. Where are my kills at? I don't know. Well,
it's not over.
Yeah.
Go again.
Sorry, Diaz. This is what happens.
Should have stayed in the server.
Exactly. You clutched too hard. It tore a hole in the space-time continuum, and there you are. Either way. XSET with their very first lead.
See now, going through the motions back to Armory, we are upstairs. Last time XSET defended this was a flawless victory for Parabellum on the attack, where they went to the office side of the map, the east side, if you will. 3 Alibi Prismas on the half wall in Armory, Bubble Shield in front of it, and Alibi, of course, there to play aggressively off of those pieces of utility. You can throw Alibi Prismas outside the building on the roof, and you can actually get this annoying red text that says, you know, attacker or like defender spot outside or whatever. But instead, it's Yogg who's going to be running out, taking some damage off, or some health rather off Asian, who's half HP with the Lion. Still bringing that Vector weapon instead with the 51 bullets. Not the DMR this time around.
Security hold has been so integral for these teams, especially given the bomb site up in Armory. Crucial part of the map to hold on to because you can establish a long cross leading into the Armory component of the bomb site and also force any rotations to have to go through you from security. Nice play by Doc, but an equally beautiful shot from Spirits as both teams again trade out. This is what we've been seeing time and time again. They always keep it close. That's exactly what happened here. Gomez timed this well. It's a bit too slow. And it is a missed opportunity, but Parabellum knows that there's now one less Nitro Cell on the board, and if you look at the operator lineup, that's all the explosive capabilities other than a single impact grenade.
You're correct. On the attacking side, we got 1 grenade left from Blast as one just went out. So these keep barriers are going to be problematic because you can't both kill those as well as the players of that little explosive utility. Yogg, still alive in security with the DMR, has long lines of sight to east stairs and of course in Soul's office where we just saw Blast peek that angle back. It's going to be him and Kool-Aid now trying to clear out this position of Spirits, but no, wallbang from Asian makes that life so much easier.
Seems to be a lot of this happening as now Kool-Aid takes down Gomez. Both teams have been victim to just simply not knowing where they're getting shot from, and it happens yet again. Is it just poor drone work, lack of intel? I don't know. Yogg is the last man for XSET. Certainly looks like a tie game yet again. Oh, beautiful shot from Yogg on to Kool-Aid. But the diffuser is down, and now the job for Yogg gets significantly harder, but the DMR hits like a truck. Just ask Blaz. Deep in the ground, 6 feet under. Asian is a single shot of that DMR away, but Eska's in a position where yet again, XSET don't seem to know where they're coming from. That entire round was, where am I getting shot from? And that was it. Parabellum comes out on top.
Had to do a 5-5 tied up. Not a whole lot of plans going down in this particular matchup because, again, it's all about the gunplay and the gun skill right now. When the plans do go down, it's not really the biggest factor that matters because normally the round is pretty lopsided one way or another. Ventilation, so keeping things the same. Armory, ventilation, bathroom, armory, back to ventilation for the XSET rotation so far. Last time, as we know, ventilation went in favor of XSET. They clutched it out with that Kino 3K on the shotgun and smoke grenades. That the bulletproof came on side, granting them all that information, and PB could not deal with it. Last time, Blast died earlier in the round, so Sledge was not available for the vertical play destruction, and that made PB's life so much harder. Attack repicks coming through. Twitch onto Flores. Osa onto Lions. A bit more soft destruction, a bit more crowd control for the roamers of XSET. It's all about the opening kills and getting that initial map control. XSET, they're going to try and stop PP from getting into the building, and PP are going to try and force their way in by having to get a kill or two. all eyes right now for Parabellum is going to be on the late round execution. It's where they've lost multiple of their attacking rounds. Both the ventilation and bathroom round fell in that area.
Oh, we're guaranteed all 12 rounds. We might actually have our second overtime matchup here in the North American League. Yesterday, 4 of the 5 matchups were done without needing those 3 extra rounds. Extra innings are looking progressively more likely. And given the seesaw of this matchup, Parabellum winning the first 3 rounds, XSET winning the next 3. Parabellum winning round 4, XSET winning 4 and 5, and then Parabellum winning their 5th in round number 10. It's just been back and forth. Very, very close. And again, these timeouts have made a huge difference. There are no timeouts remaining for either team. So this is it. You just have to fly through the rest of this matchup as best you can.
Yep. Wall open up, drone follows on in, PB again. A little bit late to the start of the round. Not really doing much until the first minute has been burned through on the clock. Drone-wise, they got 4 drones left, so very limited information can be gained from PB, and that might be a problematic situation because all 5 members of XSET being alive, they got so many positions on the map, they gotta worry about 2 drones left for PB now. They're gonna be flying in blind, taking gunfights against one of those lethal teams in North America. That's not gonna be easy.
Gomez first engagement goes against Doc, but Doc prevails on that one. Doc running riot upstairs in Fountain and awaits out the EE1D to see if a defender will materialize onto the main stairs. Nobody does, though. Spirit seems to be next closest, and he's sharing a space with the Lion of Eska. Down goes Blaz to Kino. Kino has been phenomenal for XSET so far. Spirit's now outdueled by Eska. A quieter game for Eska, not making flashy or sexy plays, but still contributing where need be. It's the support players that seem to be really standing out here.
It does. I will say, Doc on the entry has been absolutely monumental for PB, and then Kool-Aid usually in the mid-round gets so many kills off his teammates. They're playing quite well together. XSET again, playing off the bottom side. PB should know this from the last time around. They gotta get in there, get safe and comfortable, and try and get that diffuser planted. They got 30 seconds to go. XSET, they will know when this happens, and then they will hit their marks and go into the bottom side again.
Explosions aplenty, as what is typically a very quick game between these two is now worn down to the final 20 seconds. Kino in a crucial spot, watching that main door just to see what he can pull off. Diaz has to go back in. He can't secure. He's worried about a follow-up. Kool-Aid getting the diffuser down as Asian is retrievable. Kino tries to get him out, but he's baited into by Doc. It's a successful plant by Parabellum. Diaz with 1. He clutched before, does some damage to Kool-Aid. Can he repeat the miracle of the previous round? Trapped on top of the diffuser. He needs Diaz nearby as it's Yaga sitting in this position. Still firing away. Where is Diaz? That is the real question. Retaking from above? Does he have any information? Yaga wasting time. Eska has the pinch. Diaz can't do anything at all. It's Yaga in a desperate attempt to get shut down by Kool-Aid, and Parabellum moves to match point.
That they do. Again, another convincing round for Parabellum. Once the plant goes down, they're in a really good position with those post plants. I've always praised them for it. Whenever they would play Chalet against Sonics in Stage 2, whenever the diffuser would go down, you see whether it's Kool-Aid or Eska or whoever would really be in that post position, they always played so disciplined. 1 floor above, far away, long lines of sight. Everyone's covering an important angle, and that's what we saw right there. There was no real chance for XSET to claw it back in that round because the discipline was met from PB. And this could be our final round, possibly. 6-5 in favor of Parabellum. It's bathroom tellers for XSET last time. They came out victorious because Diaz got that 3K clutch, C4 into double headshot kill. Another one of those close rounds. And again, the early entry really is the defining factors for these two teams. Doc ended up fighting Gomez in the previous round, and Doc came out superior. That opened up the entire round for PP. They got top block control, started the vertical damage, and then they could establish that plant as we saw. Had the gunfight between Gomez and Doc gone differently, that entire round could have been shaped out in a much different fashion. Could have been XSET with that match point, but instead, well, it's PB as we can see.
By the way, remember when I said, oh, what was that cam?
Okay.
That I believe it was Nook went on to?
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody on Twitter whose name is Meat Garage.
Okay.
Sent me a screen cap of it, and it does indeed look like something that maybe should not be released. I don't exactly know. But either way, it's there.
Okay.
It's out there.
Good catch.
I saw it. Thank you very much. I saw it when Nook went on to her cam. So I know they've been doing this for a couple of the operators.
Yeah.
You've got the got Wolfguard obviously being added now. But either way, let's get into the matchup. 1 minute or so burned off the board. Spirits, not quite himself, is inside a break room. The drone goes by and Spirits gets obliterated again. You said it. Doc on entry has been so good. He almost gets a follow-up onto Gomez through the soft wall and fountain. Parabellum tearing through XSET on these entries.
But they are. Spirits, half of his kills came from that one blitz round, and Gomez now injured and down for the count as Blast finds him. Asian, of course, about to capitalize a third one for them as Doc finds an injury onto Yogg, and Blast also finds Kino. It's DS in a 1v5 Parker for all the marbles.
There's already been a flawless round. It started off this first half. Does it end, or it started off the second half. Does it end the second half? It does indeed. What a performance by Parabellum.
Yeah.
An anticlimactic end for fans of XSET. But it's a tight matchup between the two of them. Goodness gracious. Parabellum with this new roster. They're 2-0.
Looking good. Looking good indeed. I mean, they got a bit of everything right now. The injuries, the strategies, the support work. They're taking enough time in the round to not rush through doorways. They were struggling with their drone work against XSET, but that's also XSET playing so far forward that you're going to be naturally finding more drones and kill them. But even then, without information, you just have Doc just walking the building, getting kill after kill, and Blast finding the catch as well time and time again. Really good stuff so far. I feel like the way that PB plays together, the way TSM plays together with these new roster changes, they just meld really well, both teams.
Absolutely. And I mean, if I'm XSET, I'm not necessarily that upset with that performance. There were obviously a couple rounds where XSET really struggled. The first half, there were some challenges. And honestly, this is likely a very different game if those first 3 rounds XSET plays like the final 9 rounds. Could have even been a victory for them. But in a game of inches, which a 7-5 matchup ends up being, there could have been some small things that could have made the huge difference for XSET. Either way, Parabellum finishes the week undefeated. They join TSM at the top of the NAL standings. We've still got 3 more matchups to come, and we don't want to waste any of your time. So sit tight. We got a break ready, and then we'll come right back.
Trippin' Aquafina, I'm sippin' 15, kept a weapon on me. Flow make digits, I'm on my business, stack chicken like what it's gon' be. Crew in the cut, hey, you want us red run when I tell a peace. Love is love. Love is love. Adios. Bendo with the switch again. Boy deliver like he heffinin'. Core with digits, give him estimates. Somersaults for my Benjamins. I got what you need, baby. Skirt the Chevy, make a scene, baby. LABB been the team, baby. Been Papa, word the G, baby. Look, labs till I'm finished. Had a handful of lemons through the hand. Got a bag, now the hands in the business. For my hand, it's a ticket. Talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I've been playing with the minutes that they been shoulda gave. And I'm flipping every digit that they been shoulda paid. Had to find a way to get it. No, this isn't what you made. If I ever wanna dip, then I'm brink with the blade. And I'm brinking a blink on the brink of some dumb shit. Watch how I move, cause I know the brink's coming. Watch for the blues, cause I know that they dumping. Nothing in my view, so it's hush on discussion. Hush on discussions, you know what you need to. I keep it in the fam to let you know that I don't need you. Y'all cats be see-through, heading out to peace. You been king, I'm regal, got it in my Abisu. Came through tripping Aquafina, I'm sipping 15, kept a weapon on me. Flow make digits, I'm on my business, stack chicken like what it's gon' be. Crew in the cut, hey, you want us red run when I tell a peace.
Welcome back to the Rainbow Six NAL Analysis Desk. Doa, Jacob, Jesse here with you as always. And over in Vegas, we have Asian from Team Parabellum. 2 matches, 2 wins. Asian, you said that you were worried a little bit. You felt the pressure of having to perform because you have one off game. Everyone's like, oh, overrated, all that. Doesn't seem like that's much of a concern after week 1, huh?
No, I mean, we've been playing pretty good as a team. It's definitely not just me. I love all the guys. They support me really well, and I think everyone individually is good. So yeah, I mean, we've been playing really well.
Asian, you come into the league from CL. You were playing on LG, pretty strong Challenger League team that you were just on. What do you think the difference is between kind of the top of CL versus the kind of NAL roster that you're in right now? Seemingly top of NAL, but wherever you feel Parabellum are at the moment.
I mean, it's a much smoother start. When I first joined Luminosity, scrims were going pretty well, but we started the season like, 1-3, 1-4. We had a really rough start. But joining the NAL roster at Parabellum, we've played our first 2 Pro League matches like against really good teams, Oxygen and XSET, and we still have like our next 2 games against DZ and SSG. And I think we performed pretty well against them for a new roster and 2 new additions. So yeah, I mean, it's a pretty big difference from joining LG.
I've done what I can to keep tabs on all the new guys that have come in to this stage particularly because there's 8 of you. There's a lot of new talent coming up from Challenger League, but you've already gained a bit of a following based on what I've seen online. What's your story? Like, how did you come from where you were only like 2 years ago, not even really being in competitive, until now, where you're now the youngest player that we have currently in a Tier 1 league? What's your path to get here been like?
So I played Xbox since I was like 11, 12 when the game first came out in beta. And I played it for like 5 years, and then I had like a goal to get 10K yellow on Xbox, and then switch with my buds after I got 10K yellow to Xbox to go to PC. When I got 10K and streamed, I got a big following from streaming and grinding like Xbox. I switched over with Silent and Kix and Eddie and all them, and we started playing like T3 leagues and grinding. And now, I mean, they're top of CL. I just joined a great Pro League team, and I mean, it's been great.
All right, so one more question before we let you go. Now that you're here in Pro League, now that the pressure is kind of off a little bit, like how do you kind of keep the momentum going? Like what's the attitude going into practice for this next week to get ready for the next 2 matches?
Just have a good attitude for the next matches. Don't take it easy on anybody. Everybody's, a solid team in the NAL. I mean, just like don't get cocky. That's about it.
All right, yeah, keep it real.
Also, one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not the youngest player in the NAL because Doc is a day younger than me. So I'm the second.
Seriously?
What?
Okay.
How in the heck did that work?
Yeah, I don't know. And we got in the same team too. That's
Our
crazy.
research people are fired.
It's not the
Thanks for
research
collecting.
people, it's Liquipedia, because I don't even think I don't think his age is on Liquipedia yet. So I learned something. Thank you for that.
There we go. All right, we're all learning something. Well, congrats on the win today, Asian. Good job this week. Good luck with the practice, and we'll see you next week.
All right, bye.
All right, there you go. The second youngest player in the NAL. Putting up some pretty good numbers today, but it was, it's a team effort, right?
I think that this is another strong showing from Parabellum on Border. Last time that we were here, it was really kind of, Blaz and Asian who were leading the way. This was a huge game from Kool-Aid today, 15-8, and I really do think that impact was felt quite strongly. Even Doc popping off there with 3 opening picks. That's something that the casters were talking about towards the end of that game. He's been so solid on that entry for Parabellum. So it's nice to see really everybody stepping in and having strong matches. I think Eska's the only one that hasn't had like a pop-off game, but even still, he's been consistent. He's been in more of that support role. We know that he's kind of changed positions recently for Parabellum, and I think he's playing great as well. So really, really promising start from the guys on Parabellum.
Well, I think teams have learned their lesson. Don't let border get that far through the map ban phase.
Probably
Just don't,
a good-
because it's
good
not
bet.
a case of you going into a match with them, like you are stuck in there with them. And it's basically their own
Trapped in there
domain,
with them.
especially for something that plays very similarly to Border. It makes me wonder if this Parabellum team would be a good coastline team. It just makes me wonder if that kind of play style also transpires here, because it's obviously coastline had a lot more like long angles to watch, and this is a lot more constrictive. You have so many different corners that you have to look through, but it very much feels like, if only on the defensive side, they are everywhere, and then you try to get in there, and if you don't have everything covered, you lose. It's elementary stuff for Parabellum at this point, so I don't think anyone's going to take them to Border after this.
Yeah, we got to talk about XSET as well. I mean, they did make it close. They did get 5 round wins. They did come back after their tech pause when they were down 0-3. They won 3 in a row. They made it an even half. There were some sparks of brilliance, but I felt like XSET just looked a little bit off today. Why do you think that is?
I mean, I don't know. I think you can point to a couple of key players that we saw in the sessions, didn't have the greatest of days. I think some of their aggro players like Spirits and Gomez really weren't showing up and getting those entry frags and getting the kills in the roam that we're used to seeing them have. Oftentimes, we have criticized Spirits in the past for being a little inconsistent, and I feel like that's gone away. I feel like he's been so good game after game, but this was not necessarily a match where I thought they were at their best. And then you cascade that into the rest of the teammates having to play kind of a man down here and there. They weren't doing amazing on the entries. It was tough to see to start things off from XSET. They did have some great clutches. Kino was a great anchor player this game, but ultimately you can't rely on clutches.
There's a lot of that. There was also a lot of explosive plays or moments where they're trying to push a lot of people into one specific part of the map all at the same time. I remember specifically I think it was they take a tag timeout after 2 rounds and decide, we know they're going to go to bathroom, so they're going there, so we're going to do that NIP strat that they try to bring out at the major. When they're going to bathroom, smoke the thing off, get through the window, have people on rappel, plant instantly. That kind of explosive play didn't work in the NIP game. It didn't work here, and there were several other moments where they just tried to get people into a part of the map as fast as humanly possible, and then they also had the clutch moments in the 1vx's that they kind of felt like they needed to rely on more often than not. They pulled a 3-3 half out of the bag to start, and then it didn't really feel like that same consistency was there when they swapped.
Yeah, frankly, it was a lot of kind of gimmick plays, especially on attack. They had the Amaru coming up the hatch in security round 1. Then they had the Ying Glaz play. Then they started running the shields. The blitz worked finally. They finally got something that kind of worked.
Spirits always makes shields work, so we're
well,
fine.
not always. The Monty
Always.
just didn't seem to work this game.
True.
There you go. Well, a lot to think about, but we got a couple replays to check out as well. The first is something we don't do a ton on the replay stuff, is just have a montage of kills, right? Because there's Kool-Aid putting a lot of interesting stuff down, right?
Yeah, Kool-Aid, I think, was not only popping off this game. You saw the stats just a moment ago, but he was doing so many different roles. He starts off very anchor player, right? Getting a lot of those kills in the mirror, but then he has those rounds right there that you're seeing where he's being able to pop off on the Malusi, roam across the entire map. That was against the Monty round, where he was really able to extend across, going from security all the way back to offices, find a lot of those kills without the attackers really knowing where he was at. But earlier in the game, you saw him on mirror. You saw him stunting those fast pushes that we saw trying to come out from XSET. And so I love to see him playing multiple different positions, being able to get all of those kills all across the board there. Really impressive map from Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I think Doc was the question on entry, or not the question, he was the highlight on entry. And he was really excelling there. We didn't even really have to call Asian's number that much in that game because Kool-Aid was still in the show.
Exactly. Well, the second round we're going to take a look at was a bright moment for XSET. Diaz obviously having some great plays. I mean, we talked about you need more than clutches, but the clutches do help. So we'll take a look at that as well.
Yeah, these explosive plays, I think, are just kind of the basis for what XSET can really, you don't want to rely on this kind of stuff, but bear in mind that right before this happens, that Nitro Cell pops off immediately after smoke to plant a double hatch drop from Parabellum to have 2 players trying to covering exactly at the same moment that Kool-Aid is attempting to get this plant down. It's a really good swing from Diaz. It's a real shame because both of the members of Parabellum who are attempting to cover this plant look as though they're looking either through the smoke or to the window. They're not looking immediately at the rotate. And even if you're just hiding right behind someone's gun sight, you can still die to it, and I have had that happen to me a lot. Literally, all you have to do is look a little bit more to one side, and you should be able to see them. It just feels like XSET, when they come in, I think they had the one guy through the rotate and the other one through bathroom doorway, perfect crossfire, and Diaz just happens to be the one that gets all 3 of those kills.
Yeah, I think Kino and Diaz, maybe the best defensive support combo in the entire world. They're so good in the clutches and the anchoring position.
They're so good.
Absolutely. Well, good, but not good enough, unfortunately, today to get the win for XSET. That said, Parabellum looking like an extremely scary team. And I mean, with a start like that, everybody else in the league has to be taking them seriously. And that leads us to a quick break. But when we come back, Do not miss it. It's going to be Mirage versus Astralis. Astralis looking to bounce back after a disappointing loss yesterday, and Mirage just looking to show signs of life. We'll see if they can do it when we come back here on the NAL.